If you want to respond, we'll give you time to choose one person to respond to this issue. But we are not going to open it and start other proceedings within proceedings.
For the second interested party.
Madam, you are also on this affidavit.
Yes. Professor Githu Muigai had told you that we'll share the time with Mr. Gumbo to bring the issues why we're asking this affidavit be expunged.
So how many parties want to submit on whether or not the affidavit should be expunged? Because I think you should agree with us that we cannot start proceedings within proceedings. Because if every party is going to submit on this affidavit, we are going to take the next 2 hours and we will not proceed the way we had planned to proceed.
On the respondent side, I'm directed by our team leader, Professor Githu Muigai, that it's only me and Gumbo who need to address you on the issue.
All right.
So, my Lord, the request is that this affidavit be expunged from the record for the following reasons. One, this affidavit is filed 1.5 years after the event, and on its face, no explanation is offered why it took 1.5 years for the first petitioner to file this affidavit. Two, that delay is inconsistent with the record because the issue the affidavit deposed to was raised by the respondents more than 1.5 years ago when we responded to this petition. The issue being deposed to was raised, if I give you by way of example, in the affidavit sworn by His Excellency Professor Kindiki. That issue, that affidavit of Kindiki was filed on 20th February 2025, more than a year ago, and that specific issue is covered in paragraph 34 to 42 of the affidavit by His Excellency Professor Kindiki. For the economy of time, I won't take you through the paragraph of all the other respondents, how they dealt with the issue being deposed to this late. So the million-dollar question, my Lord, is if the issue was raised more than a year ago, why is it being deposed now? Number two, reason number two. It is, of course, clear this affidavit has been sworn long after the close of pleadings. Number three, it has been filed after missing multiple opportunities that Mr. Gumbo has taken you through, so I don't need to repeat them. Number four, my Lord, we are here so that this honorable court can determine the legality and constitutionality of the decision made by the Senate and the National Assembly. This affidavit speaks to the events at the Senate. The affidavit was not placed before the Senate. The deponent of that affidavit did not show up before the Senate. So, my Lord, the million-dollar question is, how can the first petitioner put this affidavit for the purpose of inviting you to invalidate what the Senate did when the Senate didn't have the benefit of the evidence purportedly now contained in that affidavit? Can you condemn the Senate for not considering matters that were not placed before it, which are being now deposed to in this affidavit? I'll leave that as one of the issues you consider. More importantly, my Lord, number 5, this affidavit has been purportedly put on the record after the first petitioner has already made its submissions and highlighted them. So how do we deal with it? Because we are beyond the stage where now we can reopen the case and start filing rejoined evidence and counter affidavits. What do we do? It has been made, this affidavit has been placed before you after the first petitioner has closed its submissions. The more interesting reason, my Lord, and I hope you have the affidavit before you, is the internal contradictions contained in it. We don't know why or what was intended to be achieved by that. If you check paragraph 4 of that affidavit, my Lord, it says the first petitioner was admitted at approximately 3 p.m. And to support that deposition, a document is annexed as Exhibit DG3, which is a machine or system generated document. My Lord, the beauty with machine or system generated documents is that they have a timestamp. The machine itself indicates the time when that document was prepared. And if you go to that exhibit DG3, it shows that the first petitioner was admitted at 4:18 p.m. The affidavit says he was admitted at 3 p.m. The attached evidence says it is 4:18 p.m. Even more interesting, my Lord, paragraph 7 of that affidavit says that the first petitioner was admitted for 3 days. And it names those 3 days as 17th to the 20th of October 2024. Again, when you go to the machine-generated document, it says he was admitted on 17th of October 2024 at 4:18 p.m., and he was discharged on the 20th of November, 1:36 p.m. That is 31 days later, more than a month later. So you have the affidavit. The word that Dr. Gikonyo has committed himself is that the first petitioner was admitted for approximately 48 to 72 hours, beginning 17th October. I see the judges are consulting, that's why I've paused.
No, we multitask.
Okay. So, my Lord, I was on paragraph 7, and when you read paragraph 7 together with paragraph 4 of that affidavit, Dr. Gikonyo says that this patient was admitted for 48 to 72 hours, commencing on the 17th of October 2024. And he has annexed hospital records to prove that, which I told you are system generated. When you get the date of discharge, given at the top of that exhibit GDKG3, it is 20th November 2024, 1:36 p.m. More than a month later. So by the deposition from the witness, it was 48 hours to 72 hours. By the hospital record attached, it was more than a month of admission. My Lord, if you go to paragraph 9, you have been told things about His Excellency, the head of state. He was not a member of the Senate. We don't know what value to that. But if you go back, my Lord, to Exhibit 3, it shows the team of doctors that was purportedly attending to the first petitioner, and they are listed there. Except if you go to the bottom of the page, the document itself indicates who made it. It is written at the bottom there, prepared by Dr. Sarita somebody. So the document is not prepared by the doctor who has sworn the affidavit to tell you that the gentleman was admitted on this date and this date. And that doctor is not even indicated on the document as one of the doctors that purportedly attended to him. But even more importantly, still at the bottom, my Lord, that document is prepared on 20th of November, 2024. And specifically at 12:40 p.m. That's what it says at the bottom to the left by Dr. Sarita. However, if you go to the right, extreme right of the bottom, this document is prepared on 20th November, same date, 2024. However, the time now is 12:35 p.m. and 19 seconds. My Lord, I could take all the time we need. If you go, there is another exhibit again. If you go, I don't know the number of the exhibit, but it is signed by that doctor. After exhibit GK3, you skip one leaf, two leaves. It's not paginated, that's why I'm naming it that way. And it is clear that summary is not written. It tells you the summary written by Dr. Sarita for Dr. Gikonyo. Dr. Sarita was not the one on the face of
My
the
Lord,
document.
I wish to raise an objection because Dr. Fionkulu is taking a lot of time on the contents. The objection was on admissibility of the affidavit. And this court did say it does not wish to take a lot of time on this issue. Can he confine himself to admissibility so that we deal with that issue? With regard to the other content, depending on what the court says, there will be time to go into it. But this is not the time to take a lot of time on the contents.
My Lord, the only reason I'm doing this is I'm conscious under ordinary rules of procedure, and given the stage at which this document was introduced, I might have no other opportunity, as if it is admitted, unless we are reopening this case, so that the first petitioner can now make new submissions on this document. We file perhaps our own counter doctor's reports and whatnot. And I'm about to finish anyway, my Lord. So I beg you allow me to sum up. I was about to tell you, my Lord, that from the document on its face, it is not even clear that the patient being described there is the first petitioner, because the patient name is given as Mr. R.G. No identity in the form of an ID number given, no identity in the form of a passport number. In this country, we identify people by their name, by their national identity card number, and if they have a travel passport. So, my Lord, unless someone is God, because we are told God is all-knowing, there is no way of knowing on its face, even if we were to assume there is a genuine document, that the patient being described there is indeed the first petitioner. And in summary, my Lord, we are saying this document has been introduced too late after missing too many opportunities. It was not before the makers of the decision challenged before you, so we don't know what could be its value, because you're reviewing decisions made by National Assembly and Senate, and we are saying, on its face, without even serious scrutiny, it is actually of zero evidential value, and there must be a limit, my Lord. Even though Mr. Gumbo has told you the multiple occasions on which you have indulged the parties, it cannot be like the classic camel that kept saying, let me put the head, the neck, and whatever. And if we go this route, I won't be surprised that when you reserve your judgment, there will still be new filings from the parties, and the process will be circuitous and unending. For those reasons, my Lord, we beg you. This is a joke. Let's treat it for what it is.
Mr. Ojanda, we said that we don't want to prolong these processes. It has been said, no, you as the proponents, you should also just wait for a decision which we'll make. We can only make decisions which can either strike out the document, in which case you have nothing to lose, or we can say that you will respond to it, then you will respond to the content.
Give me 1 minute only, just to add on to what Dr. Thiankolu has said, because it impacts directly on Senate and on the trial. It addresses, my Lord, an adjournment that was given at 3 p.m. and Paul Mwita, Senior Counsel, was asked to come at 5 p.m. and invite his witness to the stand. To that extent, therefore, my Lord, Mr. Mwita, Senior Counsel, has had over 1 year, 2 years, to explain the whereabouts of the petitioner, to appear before Senate. And my Lord, it is surprising that this affidavit comes almost 2 years after the adjournment by Senate on the 17th of October 2024. That is what I want to add, my Lord. My Lord, this affidavit is grossly prejudicial to the third and fourth respondents. Extremely prejudicial because, my Lord, under the doctrine of separation of powers, Senate proceeded to try the petitioner on the 17th October and rendered a verdict on the basis, my Lord, that no explanation was given at all as to the whereabouts of RG, then former Deputy President Riggy Gachagua. Now placed, my Lord, and served upon us rudely is this affidavit. And then cleverly, my Lord, why you are concerned? This affidavit was sneaked into court. It was sworn on the 28th of April 2026, filed on the 30th before the holiday, then served on us the day before yesterday. In fact, yesterday morning. And then none of the parties in court has commented on it. So, my Lord, we would urge you, and I think without reservation, my Lord, this affidavit ought to be struck out because it changes the parameters of our responses. Senate proceeded on the basis that the whereabouts of the Deputy President then was unknown. Now they are saying he had a heart attack. Senate proceeded, my Lord. Now they have submitted on fair trial and all those principles. Then now they are sneaking this to fortify or to give some anchor to their submissions, my Lord, without Senate, which was the trying body, having had the opportunity to listen to all this. This is not for the court, my Lord. This is for Senate. In fact, had they brought this detail to Senate, perhaps
how
the
long
parameters
is
would have been different, my Lord.
My colleague promised the court and us that he would be a minute long.
I am not a 1 minute. Oh, sorry. My Lord, I'm concluding. My Lord.
Agenda, can you proceed and conclude your sentence, the logical conclusion?
Yes.
What did you mean?
Yes, no, my Lord.
You are not conclude the sentence.
Yeah, my Lord, I'm saying that I am not a 1 minute man. I submit with vigor and I cite decisions, my Lord. I'm a serious counsel. Yes, my Lord, finally, the detail of the time spent in Senate negates the submissions by learned senior counsel Paul Mwite to Senate. He did not know where the Deputy President was on the 17th. He did not make contact. Here we have Dr. Dikonyo swearing an affidavit to state that the Deputy President then was admitted for over a month. These are issues for cross-examination. And if the court allows this affidavit, my Lord, you will invite parties to summon or to apply to summon Dr. Dikonyo to come to court and be examined or cross-examined on this embarrassing affidavit. I think they made a mistake on the dates. I think in trying to make this affidavit, I think they probably just made them 2 days ago. They made a mistake to show, my Lord, that he took about a month in hospital when they referred to 3 days. These are embarrassing things. The only way to save Dr. Dikonyo and everyone here is to strike out this affidavit. Thank you, my Lord.